The law firm of Villasis and Partners, VP Law, is a law office engaged in the general practice of law. Its principal office is conveniently located at the heart of the University Belt at Villasis Law Center, VLC, Unit 911 CKKFI Building P. Paredes Street, Sampala, Manila. VP Law was organized in 2015 by attorney Christian G. Villasis and continues to expand to date. From the start, VP Law has maintained a varied and prestigious client base and continues to be recognized as one of the leading law firms in the country. VP Law has a diversified general law practice as the firm handles all aspects of corporate, commercial and business transactions, protection and enforcement of intellectual property rights and data privacy rights, collection, civil and criminal litigation, admiralty and maritime practice, labor management relations, election, administrative and local government cases, real estate transactions, land titles, deeds and conveyances, foreclosure of mortgages, writ of possession, replevin, bought laws, business organizations and corporate regulatory compliance and taxation, among others. In addition, the firm offers contract drafting, review, and negotiation, legal research and consultation, as well as other legal assistance pertinent thereto. At present, the firm's increasing number of lawyers is capable of handling various legal matters and cases and is able and willing to cater to clients' concerns with utmost professionalism and zeal. Apart from experienced VP Law lawyers, its legal team includes highly competent paralegals and professional legal staff who are constantly inclined to assist the lawyers, thereby ensuring efficient and cost-effective service to its clients. VP Law aims to provide its clients with quality legal representation anchored on the ethics of hard work, commitment and responsiveness to clients' needs. This vision has been the moving force in the firm's growth into a first-rate, full-service law firm. From the start, VP Law has maintained a varied and prestigious client base and continues to be recognized as one of the leading law firms in the country. VP Law has a diversified general law practice as the firm handles all aspects of corporate, commercial and business transactions, protection and informal litigation, admiralty and maritime practice, labor management relations, election, administrative and local government cases, real estate transactions, land titles, deeds and conveyances, foreclosure of mortgages, writ of possession, replevin, bought laws, business organizations, corporate regulatory compliance and taxation, among others. In addition, the firm offers contract drafting, review, and negotiation, legal research and consultation, as well as other legal assistance pertinent thereto. At present, the firm's increasing number of lawyers is capable of handling various legal matters and cases and is able and willing to cater to clients' concerns with utmost professionalism and zeal. Apart from experienced VP Law lawyers, its legal team includes highly competent paralegals and professional legal staff who are constantly inclined to assist the lawyers, thereby ensuring efficient and cost-effective service to its clients. VP Law aims to provide its clients with quality legal representation anchored on the ethics of hard work, commitment and responsiveness to clients' needs. This vision has been
to consider. First, the time. Second is the investment. Third is the opportunity. Fourth is your peace of mind. And fifth is your personal wealth. So out of the 100 targeted accounts, hackers will be able to reset 45 user accounts passwords. Because this person might be talking about a different kind of phishing
does not fall under the Data Privacy Act if it is an information pertaining to an entity that is not manufactured. Consent but is something that is mechanically that is consent that is required under the Data Privacy Act. You have to prove that you have obtained consent to allow this to maybe start some questions from me. The consent questions to the assistant center and we try to answer them.
You would also have to consider. First, the time. Second is the investment. Third is the opportunity. Fourth is your peace of mind. And fifth is your personal wealth. So out of the 100 targeted accounts, hackers will be able to reset.
So does the DPA only cover personal information per se? Or does it also cover information about companies that is always
Yes, sir. This person might.
Sir, just a question about the DPO officer. Is there such a thing as void or not valid control officer appointment? Wherein even though the NTC has properly recognized it,
does not fall under the Data Privacy Act if it is an
We will be
information
having our second list.
an entity that is not manufactured. Consent but is something that is mechanically that is consent that is required under the Data Privacy Act.
I think a little bit of an icebreaker in order can bring out the wheel.
Questions to the assistant center and we try to answer them.
Totally distinct
Second is the investment. Third is the opportunity. Fourth is your peace.
Can bring out the wheel.
Questions to the assistant center and we try to
Good day to our dear attendees from different parts of the country. I pray that you're all in great state of health. This free webinar is streaming live via the Villasis Law Center's YouTube channel and Facebook page. If you can hear my voice clearly, please type in the comment section hashtag VLC. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Optimize this learning opportunity. Share this free online lecture to your friends and together learn at the comfort of your homes. I want to formally welcome you all to this free webinar. This is part of a series of free online lectures brought to you by the Virtual Law Companion of Villasis Law Center. Allow me to share to you this good news. The Virtual Law Companion is the newest innovation of Villasis Law Center, which aims to provide an easy, convenient, and quality bar review experience. The Virtual Law Companion is a web application that is hosted on a dedicated cloud server. It can be accessed via the internet 24/7 through any web browser, using any device or handheld computers like Android or iOS phones. Meaning, you can study anytime, anywhere, and from any mobile device. Please visit our website at www.villasislawcenter.com to know more about our programs and activities. Before we formally start, please take note of some reminders. First, this free webinar is pre-recorded to ensure the uninterrupted streaming of lectures. Secondly, VLC team will be with you to assist you should you need more information about our program. Please visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Without further ado, please give your virtual class and welcome our lecturer today. Again, this free webinar is brought to you by our Virtual Law Companion. Maraming salamat po. Together, we can make things happen. Together, we can.
Our lecturer for tonight is a proud product of the Villasis Law Center. Currently, he is a legal associate at Divina Law, specializing in corporate law, special projects, and taxation. He has likewise been teaching taxation and management advisory services for 5 years, including 2 years as a reviewer for the Review School of Accountancy, one of the biggest review centers for the CPA licensure examination in the Philippines. He has headed taxation law of the Academics Committee of the University of Santo Tomas Bar Operations. He was a taxation associate for global compliance and reporting at SGV and Company. He graduated with a Juris Doctor degree cum laude in the University of Santo Tomas. He finished Bachelor of Science in Accountancy magna cum laude from Colegio de San Juan de Letran, Manila as the batch valedictorian. He placed 14th in the October 2014 CPA licensure examination, and placed 6th in the 2019 bar examinations. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Attorney Kenneth Glenel Manuel.
Hello guys! Hello sa ating mga VLC warriors. Today, we are going to discuss about the salient features of trained law. So I am Kenneth Manuel. I passed the bar examination for the 2019 bar. And I was once also on your side of the fence. I was once also a VLC warrior. And now I am giving back to VLC by teaching one of my favorite subjects, taxation. You know, taxation is one of the most dreaded subjects of the bar examinations. walang gustong magmahal sa taxation kasi napakahirap nga naman intindihin. But of course, here at VLC, we are going to help you understand the fundamentals and the nitty-gritty details of taxation. So this is an overview of what is to come with VLC. So this is an overview of the tax reform for acceleration and inclusion. This is an overview of train law. Basically, guys, ang i-discuss lang natin for today, ano ba ang nagbago from the old law up to the new law, which was passed. Medyo hindi na siya new, to be honest, dahil this was made effective January 1, 2018. But for those of you who have graduated from law school na medyo matagal na and have studied the previous tax law, for those of you who have read references na ang naka-indicate pa ay mga provisions before the train law, this presentation, this video would really be helpful for you. So we will run down all the major provisions na covered by the bar examinations and ano ba ang nagbago for purposes of the bar, ano ba ang binago ng ating train law. So let's, wait lang. So, nasa last slide pala ako. So I'll go back to my first slide lang. So, let's start with income tax. Ano ba ang mga nagbago? Ano ba ang binago rather ng train law for income tax? First, of course, most importantly, nandito ang ating mga new regular income tax rates for individuals. Hindi pa binabago for corporations. Parating pa lang yung changes for corporations. So we have new regular income tax rates for individuals. What are the new regular income tax rates for individuals? Dati, it's from 5% up to 32%. Now, it's from 0 to 35%. For purposes of the bar examinations, guys, kailangan sa uluhin to table because, frankly, even accountants, even tax return preparers may not even memorize this. Ang importante lang natin malaman is ano ba ang nangyari? From 32, now the highest rate is 35%. And another important thing to underscore in this tax table is now those annual taxable income not exceeding 250,000 pesos is exempt. Therefore, kapag nakita natin sa bar problem na ang annual taxable income of a taxpayer is, for instance, 200,000, not exceeding 250,000, therefore, no need to compute, no need to panic because we know that under train law, this income is exempt from income tax. So ito ang mga features na kailangan nating alahanin. Second change brought about by train law is this very momentous event na October 14, 2018, no? Winning combination 40, 50, 37, 25, 0, 1, 45. But of course, we will not be concerned with the winning combination. Ano yan? Ang concern natin yung jackpot, yung 1,180,622,508. Alam ba, di ba? Alam mo yung kapag nanalo ka, bilyonaryo ka na. Of course, but will it be true that you will become a billionaire upon winning this jackpot? Siyempre, ang sagot ay no. Medyo naiinggit siguro yung ating gobyerno na, oh my God, bilyonaryo to. Para kailangan natin ng balato. Kailangan ng gobyerno ng balato and that balato comes in a sapilitang balato in an enforced, obligatory, mandatory balato to the government in the form of final withholding taxes. Before train law, this 1,180,620,508 is tax-free. Tax-exempt ang PCSO/lotto winnings. However, under train law, it will now be subject to a final withholding tax of 20%. Therefore, payable to the government, final tax in the form of final tax, and final taxes are collected by way of final withholding. When we speak of withholding, of course, you know this is an advance collection of taxes even before the income is received by the income earner. These taxes have already been deducted. Bawas na itong portion na ito. And therefore, ang matatanggap na lang, what will be received by the income earner, by the lottery winner is just 944,498,006 pesos. Therefore, medyo hindi totoo na billionaire na siya. Medyo kailangan niyang lumagpas ng 1.3 billion pesos, ng 1.2 billion pesos para maging tunay na bilyonaryo. Kasi kapag kinaltas yung tax sa 20%, alam mo yun, saka lang, magiging 1 billion. So guys, now, PCSO or lotto winnings under train law is now subject to a 20% final withholding tax, with the rare exception of NRA FB. What's NRA FB? Non-resident alien engaged in trade or business. The provision for non-resident alien engaged in trade or business was not amended by train law, and therefore NRA FBs, guys, they remain exempt from tax kapag PCSO or lotto winnings. Of course, so kapag kayo ay nanalo ng lotto, no, automatic change your citizenship, change your residency, become an NRA FB, joke lang, in order to enjoy the tax exemption. And of course, NRA NETB, you know this, non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business are always subject to 25%. Their 25% final tax on gross income. Therefore, to recap, we have resident citizens, yung mga individuals natin, resident citizens, non-resident citizens, resident aliens, 20% FWT, final withholding tax on PCSO or lotto winnings. Pero pagdating sa ating NRA FB, non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, exempt. Kapag non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, yan ay exempt. Yan ay magiging non-resident alien not engaged, rather, ito ay subject to 25% final tax on gross income. So, second change, as mentioned, exemption of PCSO winnings are removed. Number 3, of course, rates in capital gains tax on sale of shares change. Nagbago na ang capital gains tax on sale of shares. We remember our tax code, section 24, section 24 for individuals and section 27 for corporations provides for capital gains tax. Of course, major misconception kapag tinatanong, no, is it true or false? Capital gains are subject to capital gains tax as a general rule. Ang sagot actually ay false because there are so many capital gains that are not subject to capital gains tax. We recap, when do capital gains arise? Capital gains arise when there is a gain in an exchange transaction involving what we call capital assets, as defined in section 39 ng ating tax code. Of course, capital assets, by residual definition, these are your non-ordinary assets. Ganito pagkaka-define, no? Kapag hindi ordinary, edi capital assets. What are your ordinary assets? Of course, to summarize, these are your stock in trade. These are your inventoriable assets, those which will be properly classified as inventory if on hand at the end of the taxable year. Those which are normally held for sale in the ordinary course of business of the taxpayer. Those which are depreciable. Those which are subject to depreciation. Yun yung pang-apat na item. Those which are subject to depreciation, yung and and used in business. And of course, number 5, last sa ating listahan ng ordinary asset, we have, of course, real property used in business. Therefore, if hindi siya ordinary asset, number 1, hindi siya stock in trade. Number 2, hindi siya inventoriable. Number 3, hindi siya held for sale in the ordinary course of business. Number 4, hindi siya subject to the allowance for depreciation under section 34F. And number 5, hindi siya real property used in business. Siya ay magiging capital asset. Then, next step, kapag binenta natin itong capital asset na ito, let's say meron tayong refrigerator sa bahay na hindi na natin ginagamit. Of course, this is a capital asset. Kapag binenta natin yung ating refrigerator, then at again, magkakaroon tayo ng capital gain. Kapag binenta natin yung ating vacation house, na walang connection sa business at again, then tayo ay magkakaroon ng capital gain. Are this capital gains tax? Surprisingly, no. Because to emphasize, there are only two capital gains. Sa dinami-dami ng pwedeng capital gains, there are only two capital gains that are subject to capital gains tax. At ano yung dalawang capital gains na yon? Number one, we have, of course, your sale, exchange, and other disposition of real property held as capital asset located in the Philippines. At yung pangalawa, sale, exchange, disposition of shares of stocks of a domestic corporation directly to the buyer and not through the local stock exchange. So ito lang yung dalawang capital gains transaction, capital asset transaction na yung gain nila ay not subject to capital gains tax. All the rest would follow your ordinary rules of income taxation. When we speak of ordinary rules of income taxation, ano meron doon? Ilalagay natin yung gain as part of gross income, part ng ating dealings of properties for individuals, subject doon sa tax table natin na pinakita natin kanina na bago, 0 to 35%. For corporations, subject to 30% regular corporate income tax on taxable income, of course, after deducting your allowable deductions. So, kapag capital gains, iba ang computation natin. Hindi siya yung gross income less allowable deduction, taxable income, apply the tax rate, income tax due. For our capital gains tax, normally you have a capital gain multiplied by a certain percentage. Before train law, ito yung mga nababasa nating 5 or 10%. 5% if the capital gain, for sale of shares ang pinag-uusapan natin na 5% if the capital gain does not exceed 100,000 pesos. And kung sumobra man, the excess will be subject to 10%. Mas madali ang computation ngayon, flat rate of 15%. However, for bar purposes, no, rare naman na nagtatanong ng mga rates. However, ito yung mga kailangan nating malaman for train law, na ito yung mga changes brought about by train law. Therefore, again, for number 3, rates in capital gains tax on sale of shares. Again, this will apply to sale of shares ng isang domestic corporation, not foreign corporation. Kapag foreign corporation kasi, kapag shares ng foreign corporation ang binenta, the situs will be outside of the Philippines, regardless where the place of sale was made. And therefore, kung resident citizen or domestic corporation, subject to normal income tax rules. For the rest na hindi naman subject to income derived from sources within the Philippines, ito ay hindi na taxable. So for instance, we have resident aliens, non-resident aliens, hindi naman sila tax on income derived from sources within the Philippines. Therefore, ang mangyayari ay this will not be taxed kung foreign corporation, kung shares ng foreign corporation ang ating binebenta. Next, of course, number 4 is the removal of personal exemptions. So wala na yung mga tinatawag nating personal exemptions under train law. Ano tong personal exemptions natin? Well, 1, we have yung basic personal exemption na 50,000 pesos kada tao. Then for each qualified dependent, 25,000 pesos not exceeding 4. Ngayon, tinanggal na yan, so hindi na natin i-consider. Instead, going back to our first slide, meron na tayong 250,000 pesos exempt taxable income for everyone. Lahat sila ay may 250,000. So flat rate na for everyone without distinction. Dito medyo maraming issue sa ikalima. Fifth is new 8% income tax option for individuals. So meron na tayong 8% income tax option for individuals. This is available for resident citizens, resident aliens, and non-resident citizens. So, importante dito sa number 5, dito pa na sa slide na to, never tayo magko-compute ng 8% for corporations. These are not available for corporations. Next, this is found in Section 24 and therefore di siya mag-a-apply sa ating mga non-resident alien individuals. Who else are not entitled to avail of the 8% income tax option? Discuss natin yung mga kinds of individuals, this time according naman to the type of income that they earn. According to the type of income that they earn, first meron tayong purely compensation income earner. Sila yung mga walang ibang kinikita kundi sweldo lamang. So maaring isa lang yung trabaho, PCIE, purely compensation income earner, i-acronym ko lang kasi alam mo yung masyadong mahaba yung pangalan niya, purely compensation income earner. So PCIE na lang. Next, meron tayong kapag may sarili siyang negosyo, ang tawag natin ay self-employed individual. If ang kanyang kita naman ay from the practice of his or her own profession, let's say siya ay isang independent accountant, let's say siya ay kumukuha ng mga kliyente bilang isang architect, o kaya soon enough kayo rin kapag kayo ay nagkaroon ng sarili ninyong law firm for instance, at kayo ay kumukuha ng mga kliyente whom you will defend their cause. So, ang mangyayari ay you will be called self-employed professionals. So, una, PCIE, purely compensation income earner, yung mga sumusweldo lamang. Take note ha, regardless of the number of employment, kahit tatlo ang trabaho niya, basta lahat compensation, purely compensation income earner pa rin siyang maituturing. Next, of course, we have self-employed individuals or professionals na kumikita sa sarili nilang paraan without any employer-employee relationship. May iba naman na tunay na raketero at raketera, empleyado sa umaga at may sariling negosyo sa gabi. Of course, dalawa na ang klase ng income. Meron na siyang compensation income at meron na siyang income from practice of profession or conduct of trade or business. In such case, two kinds of income, paghahaluin natin, pag-mix natin, ang tawag naman na natin doon ay mixed income earner. So, bakit natin kailangan i-discuss yung PCIE, yung ating self-employed individuals and professionals, at yung ating mixed income earner? Because meron silang mga intricacies pagdating sa ating 8% income tax option. Una, purely compensation income earners are never, ever qualified to avail of the 8% income tax option. Why? Because if we'll read the provision of Section 24, how do we compute for the 8%? The 8% is based on gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income in excess of 250,000 pesos. Therefore, gross sales or receipts happens only if ikaw ay merong negosyo, if you have an income from the conduct of trade or business or practice of profession. Kapag ikaw ay purely compensation income earner, hindi gross sales or receipts yung tawag doon sa sweldo mo. And therefore, purely compensation income earners are not qualified to avail of the 8% income tax option. Self-employed individuals, of course, pwede. So, meron kang gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income. Bawas mo to 50,000. Then, multiply mo ng 8%. Yan na ang babayaran. This is most expedient for our self-employed individuals and self-employed professionals. Mixed income earners, pwede din ba? Ang sagot ay yes, pwede rin sa mixed income earners. However, since may compensation sila, the procedure is to separate the compensation from the income from trade, business, and practice of from the conduct of trade or business and practice of profession. Separate natin yung compensation doon sa TBP, trade business profession na income. Then yung compensation always subject to the tax table. Concept yun na kapag compensation never subject to 8%, palaging subject to the tax table for individuals. Then, yung trade, business, or profession, yung TBP natin, sila lang ang pwedeng maging subject to 8%. At mag-iiba yung computation, wala nang deduction ng ating 250,000. So it's simply gross sales or receipts, diretso multiply 8% for our mixed income earner. Bakit wala nang deduction na 250,000? This is from your revenue regulations. The reason is, nung nag-compute tayo ng compensation para sa ating ng income tax for compensation, na factor na doon na merong exempt taxable income na 250,000. If maaalala natin, sa tax table natin na pinakita natin sa first slide, pinakaunang hilera, in-emphasize natin na kailangan natin alalahanin na annual taxable income not exceeding 250,000 pesos, yan ay exempt from income tax. Yan ay exempted from income tax. Number 6. Bago tayo mag-number 6, wait, balikan muna natin to. Yung 8% income tax option for individuals, meron pa akong babanggitin pala dito. Bawal din na mag-avail ng ating 8% income tax option. Sino pa? Yung mga taxpayers na, of course, lumagpas ng threshold na 3 million pesos. Mandatory VAT registration ka na, hindi na pwedeng mag 8% income tax. Next, if nag-optional VAT registration ka naman, optional VAT registration, meaning kahit hindi ka lumagpas ng 3 million pesos, annual VATable gross sales or receipts did not exceed 3 million pesos in a taxable year, then what happened? You still chose to be paying value-added tax. Then ano ang mangyayari? You are not entitled to avail of the 8% income tax. Sabi pa ng ating mga revenue regulations, if you have an item of gross sales or receipts that are subject to percentage tax other than Section 116, then you are not entitled to avail of the 8% income tax option. Ano yung Section 116? Yung normal na 3% OPT natin. Therefore, if halimbawa ikaw ay namamasada ng bus, of course, yung gross receipts mo sa bus, that's subject to 3% common carrier's tax, hindi ka pwedeng mag 8% income tax because you are subject to percentage tax other than Section 116. Common carrier's tax is Section 117. Same is true kung ikaw ay halimbawa operator ng water company or ng water utility. You will be subject to 2% franchise tax. So hindi ka na pwede mag-avail ng 8% income tax. You are no longer entitled to avail of the 8% income tax option. So, anong effect ng ating 8% income tax option? The 8% income tax option is in lieu of percentage tax. Para sa mga negosyanteng law student natin dito, of course, alam natin na normally dalawa ang major na binabayaran ng ating negosyo to the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Siyempre, wag natin isama yung registration fee, no? Dahil medyo maliit lang naman yon. Ang dalawang major ay income tax and of course, percentage tax. Kung maliit ang ating negosyo, not exceeding 3 million and non-VAT registered. So, income tax, normally, kino-compute natin using the tax table, percentage tax, 3% of gross sales or receipts ang ating percentage tax. Kung magbabayan tayo ng 8% tax, no need to pay the 3%. So, sabi sa ating tax code, no, the 8% income tax is in lieu of the 3% percentage tax. No need to pay your 3% percentage tax. Take note, kailan natin sinasabi na ang babayaran natin ay yung 3% percentage tax plus income tax or 8% income tax? When do we avail of the option to pay instead the 8% income tax? Ina-avail natin ito, sabi ng RMC 50-2018, kailan natin ina-avail? In 3 instances. Number 1, pwede sa ating application for registration or sa update for registration, either 1902 or 1905 na BIR form. Pwede natin i-indicate doon na we are availing of the 8% income tax option. But most commonly, sa filing ng ating first quarter percentage tax return or first quarter income tax return. Take note, once availed, Q1, nag-file na tayo ng ITR at nabanggit na natin na, 8% tayo. Second quarter, nalaman natin na para mas makakatipid tayo if we will not choose 8%. Instead, tayo ay magbabayad na lamang using the regular income tax rate. Kapag ganon naman ang nangyari, of course, can you change? Can you switch back? The answer is no. The choice is irrevocable for the entire year. Entire year lang naman. So next year, pwede ka na magpalit ulit. So pwede ka bumalik ng graduated income tax rates, yung tax table natin, or the 8% income tax option. So that's the fifth change of train law sa side ni income tax. Number 6, no more special aliens. Number 6, wala nang special aliens. Before, meron tayong tinatawag na special aliens na pwedeng subject to 15% on their gross compensation income. So, ito yung mga tinatawag nating special aliens, occupying highly technical and managerial positions in ROHQs or RAHQs na ang annual compensation ay lalagpas ng 975,000 pesos. Ngayon, pwede nyo nang alisin sa utak nyo yung sinabi ko lang kanina because this is one of the provisions that were vetoed by the President upon signing the train law. Pwede ba yun? Vinito, isang section lang sa train law, tapos the rest ay pinasa? Hindi ba kailangan kapag vinito ang isang batas ng ating presidente, veto yung buo at hindi pwede yung isang section lang yung i-veto? Ang sagot, you are correct na ganun nga dapat ang nangyayari. Best in consti kayo, yes. Or best in poly pala yun, no? So, sa political law, of course, na pag-aralan natin, I think it's under Article 6 or 7, na ang veto power ng ating president, of course, kailangan full veto ng ating batas. So once hindi niya gusto ang isang batas, hindi pwedeng mamili lang siya ng section para alisin. Pero pagdating sa tatlo ang in-enumerate ng ating consti, appropriations, revenue, and tariff bills, and of course, revenue bills include yung ating mga tax bills, allowed ang tinatawag nating item veto. Meaning, pira-piraso, section lang, ayoko na itong section na to, sabi ni President. So, pwede niyang alisin yung isang section na yon. That's the power of item veto, exclusive on appropriations, revenue, and tariff bills as provided by our Constitution. And this is what happened with train law, particularly with the provision on special aliens. So, wala nang special aliens. So, anong meron? Alien na lang sila dahil sa special. Why? Kasi they are now instead subject to the regular income tax rates just like how we compute for individuals. Again, we go back doon sa tax table natin kanina. Ikapito. Number 7, new exempt threshold for 13th month pay and other benefits. Dati, 30,000, 30,000. Inangat, naging 82,000. And now, it's 90,000 pesos. 90,000 pesos na ang ating exempt threshold for 13th month pay and other benefits. So, take note, no? Kung may 13th month pay, 14th month pay, 15th month pay, mid-year bonus, etc., lahat yan papasok sa threshold na 13th month pay and other benefits. Ito total mo yun, mga month pay and bonuses, kapag lumagpas ng 90,000 pesos, then masasubject na to your taxes on compensation. So, 90,000 pesos is the key. And of course, meron tayong mga bagong threshold for de minimis benefits. Next, number 8, new rate for fringe benefits tax. Dati, it's 32, now it's 35%. Again, rarely naman tinatanong ang rate, so chika ko lang na may bagong rate for fringe benefits tax. So, these are the major changes for income taxation. Let's go to another major tax, guys, value-added tax. So, guys, kung meron kayong mga questions, syempre check ko lang muna kayo dyan. sa ating FB Live if buhay pa kayo. If buhay pa kayo, of course, paramdam kayo sa comments, say hi, say hello to your fellow viewers, to your fellow VLC warriors, at sa mga magiging VLC warriors pa lang, sa mga nagko-consider mag-enroll sa VLC. So say hi and say hello. And kung meron kayong mga questions, guys, na medyo hindi malinaw, especially na, alam mo yon, sobrang maraming gray areas pagdating sa taxation, nakakalito talaga ang tax. So you may drop your questions below. I'll try to address them as I speak, or I'll try to address them later after ng ating live video. So let's proceed, guys, to value added tax. Uy, technical agad to move from zero rated sales. What are foreign currency? Tinanggal lang to, no? Parang bigla na lang nawala sa balat ng train law itong foreign currency denominated sales. Before, nandyan yan, zero rated sale yan, ngayon wala na siya. So, paliwanag lang natin anong chika sa foreign currency denominated sales. So, sabi, no, sale of raw materials or packaging materials to a non-resident for delivery to a resident paid for in acceptable foreign currency in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. These are foreign currency denominated sales. Again, medyo pira-pirasuhin lang natin. Again, sale of packaging or raw materials for delivery to a resident paid for in acceptable foreign currency in accordance with the rules and regulations of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. Ito ay zero rated dati. Ito ang tinatawag na foreign currency denominated sale. So let's say, bigyan natin ng kwento, meron tayong friend na Vietnamese. Sabi ng friend na Vietnamese, I want Philippine furniture. Tapos ako, si seller na nasa Pilipinas, talaga, I can make you Philippine furniture. Tapos sabi ni Vietnamese, ay hindi, meron ng ibang gagawa. Meron ng ibang gagawa para sa akin at nung merong ibang gagawa para sa kanya, i-deliver mo sa kanya yung raw materials na lang. Gusto ko yung kahoy mo, pero ayoko yung pagkagawa mo ng furniture. So, i-deliver mo doon to the other person. Siya yung gagawa nung furniture. I-deliver mo lang yung kahoy. That's a raw material for the furniture. Tapos, yung isang gagawa na yon, siya yung mag-e-export ng actual finished furniture to our Vietnamese friend. Therefore, again, 3 characters. Ako na may kahoy, yung tao dito sa Pilipinas na gumagawa ng furniture, and si Vietnamese friend. Foreign currency denominated sale siya kapag babayaran ni Vietnamese. Kapag babayaran ni Vietnamese yung kahoy in acceptable foreign currency in accordance with the rules and regulations of the BSP. So I'll deliver raw materials, kahoy, to a resident manufacturer of furniture. Nandito sa Pilipinas, yung manufacturer of furniture. Yung manufacturer of furniture, siya ang magpapadala to the Vietnamese ng furniture. Yung bayad sa akin ni Vietnamese para sa kahoy na ibibigay ko doon sa manufacturer ng furniture, again, foreign currency. That's a foreign currency denominated sale, and that's now subject to 12% VAT. No longer zero rated. Ang kailangan para maging zero rated ay yung ating resident manufacturer must now be an export-oriented enterprise. So, sale of raw materials or packaging materials to a non-resident for delivery to a resident, paid for in acceptable foreign currency in accordance with the rules and regulation of BSP, yan ay subject to 12% value-added tax. But, sale of raw materials or packaging materials to a non-resident for delivery to an export-oriented enterprise. Export-oriented enterprise. So, kanina resident, di ba? Ngayon, export-oriented enterprise paid for in acceptable foreign currency in accordance with the rules and regulation of BSP. Then, yan ang nananatiling zero-rated. Zero-rated transaction. Well, of course, yung benta ni resident manufacturer to the Vietnamese, yung actual delivery of the finished furniture to the Vietnamese, that counts as an actual export sale. Zero rated pare. Yung zero rated pa rin yung delivery ni furniture manufacturer papunta kay Vietnamese. Kasi kung maalala natin, dalawang transaction yon. So yung unang transaction, 12% VAT sa foreign currency denominated sale. Yung pangalawa, which is an actual export. Ito naman yung actual export natin this time, of course, zero rated. Yan, yung ating actual exports. And of course, insert ko lang, no, nagbanggit ako ng terminology, export-oriented enterprise. Papaano natin masasabi that an enterprise is indeed an export-oriented enterprise if nag-exceed ng 70 as annual production niya, exceeding 70% is exported. Then siya ay i-consider natin na exports-oriented enterprise. Ika-sampo, change in VAT threshold for businesses from 1.5 million naging 1,919,500. Then, now it's 3 million pesos. So, 1.5, 1,919,500. Yung 1,919,500, pampagulo lang yun sa utak, alisin na yun. Now, it's 3 million pesos. 11, change of VAT exempt threshold for lease of residential units. Kung tayo ay mangungupahan, VAT exempt ang ating inuupahan ng ating rented premises as long as the monthly lease payments dati under section 109 ito ay 12,800 pesos kada buwan, but now ano ang nangyari ngayon? Ito ay raised to 15,000 pesos. So as long as your monthly rentals do not exceed 15,000 pesos, exempt from VAT ang lease of residential units. Next, this is just an affirmation by train law because this has already been enunciated by the Supreme Court. Sabi ng Supreme Court, ASOC dues and membership fees sa homeowners association, condominium corporations, binabayaran sa kanila. These are not business transactions daw, and therefore they should not be subject to value-added tax, sabi ng ating Supreme Court. Now, this has been codified, in-include na rin sa ating train law. Of course, you know very well, it's a fact na Supreme Court decisions oftentimes become incorporated sa subsequent amendments ng ating mga batas. So, ASOC dues and membership fees paid to homeowners association and condo corps, yan ay exempted from VAT. New exemption, sale of gold to BSP, yan ay, of course, exempted from VAT. Anong status nito dati? That's prior to train law, yan ay ituturing natin na zero rated sale. Now, yan ay exempted. Take note, yan, this will only pertain to sale of gold to BSP. Kapag may nakita kayo sale of silver, sale of aluminum, utang na loob, wag niyo pong gawing bakal bote yung Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, sale of aluminum to BSP. Ano yun? Bakit nag-bet ng aluminum kay BSP? Sale of gold to BSP lang ang may special tax treatment. And exempted na siya under train law. Ika-14 na pagbabago ng train law. New exemptions in NIRC, transfers pursuant to Section 40, Paragraph C, Subparagraph 2. What Section 40C2? This is more popularly known as tax-free exchange. Yung may exchange of shares in exchange for property, in exchange for other shares. Ang importante is may acquisition of control na magaganap dito. So kapag may acquisition of control sa isang share transaction na nagkaroon ng exchange of properties or shares or securities, ito ay magiging tax-free exchange. Section 40C2, ito ay ma-exempt from value added. Section 40C2, exempted ito sa income tax. Then Section 196, I think this is exempted din siya sa documentary stamp tax. And now Section 109 also provides it's exempted from VAT. So tunay na tax-free, exempt from income tax, DST, and value added tax ang ating mga tax-free exchange. change. Number 15, new exemptions in the National Internal Revenue Code, sale of certain medicines. Sale of certain medicines, exempted na rin under our tax code. Ang nakalagay sa ating train law, that would be diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. If intended dito yung ating mga gamot, then that is exempted from value-added tax. Then lately, a later legislation effective this year included kidney medications and mental health medications. However, not covered by your bar. So again, alisin nyo muna sa utak yon. Again, ang nasa train law ay tatlo. Ano ang nasa train law na tatlo? Of course, we have diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. Ito yung tatlong gamot na kapag binenta ay exempted. Medyo i-relate natin sa batas for senior citizens and persons with disability sa ating Expanded Senior Citizens Act and Magna Carta for persons with disability. Of course, ano ang meron doon? Sale of medicines sa kanila ay exempted. Purpose of the medicine, regardless of the disease, illness, which the medicine seeks to address. Palaging exempted, basta senior citizen and persons with disability ang bumibili at meron siyang reseta ng doktor. So, palagi yung exempted sa kanila. However, kung ordinaryong tao ang bibili ng gamot, ang gamot ay hindi exempted sa VAT. Except, again, certain medicines such as diabetes, hypertension, and high cholesterol. So, itong nakalagay sa ating slides, number 15, item sa slide natin number 15 applies not just to senior citizens and persons with disability, but applies to everyone na bibili ng gamot. VAT exempt na ang mga yan. Number 16, new with an asterisk exemptions in NIRC, sale to senior citizens and persons with disability. Bakit ko nilagyan ng new with an asterisk? Kasi matagal naman na yan na exempted by virtue of special laws, by virtue of yung ating Magna Carta for persons with disability and Expanded Senior Citizens Act. Matagal na yung exempted. Nilagay lang sa ating train law. Of course, ano ba yung mga maliban sa exemption sa VAT, of course, entitled din sila sa 20% discount on certain sale of goods and services. Certain lang nga, hindi lahat. Alam nga naman, senior citizen, bibili ng bahay at lupa, exempted ako sa VAT, utang na loob, din na yan kasama. Kapag bibili ng iPhone si persons with disability, hindi na rin po yan kasama. Only certain sale of goods and services, such as for instance, hotel accommodations, exempted yan. Hotel accommodations, lahat ng mga accommodations sa hotel, kung gusto nila magpa-spa, magpa-parlor within the hotel, exempted lahat yan, basta within the confines of the hotel. Ano pa ba? Restaurants, of course, most common na ina-avail, present lang ng PWD ID and Senior Citizens ID, VAT exempted and 20% discount as long as intended for the personal consumption of the senior citizen or the person with disability. Hindi pwede bumili ng party package si senior citizen and PWD at yung buong party package ay ipa-discount niya. Malulugi yung ating mga restaurant. So medyo temper natin. Transpo, of course. Transportation. Domestic lang, hindi kasama international. Domestic transport, ayun, may 12% discount sila. 12% discount tuloy. Exemption from 12% VAT. And 20% discount sila. Wala naman talagang VAT yung transportation. Uy, may VAT ang transportation na. Well, totoo na walang VAT yung transport of passengers by land. Sakay ka ng jeep, sakay ka ng bus, sakay ka ng trike, walang VAT yun, true. Pero domestic transport by sea or air, guys, may value-added tax yun. So, medyo tipid match ang ating senior citizens and PWD. Ito sila ay ma-exempt. Exempted. VAT exempt yung transactions nila doon. And of course, among other things. So, marami pa yung mga exemption for senior citizens and PWD. Next, of course, OMG. Medyo tax remedies, pero ito yung naliligaw na portion ng VAT ng tax remedies, no? Kasi nasa Section 112 siya. Wala siya sa kasamahan niya sa mga Section 200 plus na tax remedies, VAT refund. May mga bagong batas tayo pertaining to value-added tax refund. Of course, when does VAT refund arise? This will particularly apply to, ito medyo crucial na part, kasi medyo hilig to, Diyos ko, ang dami-daming kaso dito, simula doon sa Aichi, di ba, na palagi natin naririnig, San Roque, na palaging assigned case kapag tax 2 na ang pinag-uusapan, Taganito, mining, ayan, sunod-sunod kasi ang dami nagka-problema dyan. So, yung lalo na yung 120 plus 30-day period, kung ano ba ang meron doon. So, ito, new rules on VAT refund, medyo matatanggal na yung mga jurisprudence na yon, although yung basic principle applicable pa rin. New rules on VAT refund, anong ganap sa new rules on VAT refund? Of course, prior to train law, una muna, kailan mag-a-arise ang ating VAT refund? VAT refund will arise kapag meron kang passed on VAT attributable to zero-rated sales. So kapag meron kang purchases na meron passed on VAT, na subsequently yung purchase na yon ay traceable or ma-attribute mo to your zero-rated sale, in-export mo subsequently, then ito ay entitled to a VAT refund. Those input VAT attributable to zero-rated sale, entitled sila sa VAT refund. Bakit may entitlement sa VAT refund? Kasi kung iisipin natin, nung bumili ka, meron kang input VAT na binayaran, tapos, ibabawas mo siya sa output VAT. Kasi we remember our simple formula for the computation of VAT payable. That's output VAT less input VAT. Makakompute natin ang ating VAT payable. However, kung zero-rated sale ang mga transaction mo, zero output VAT, tapos yung input VAT mo, meron kang binabawas, di negative yung VAT payable mo. Carry over mo na lang, di ba? So, kaka-carry over mo, naiipon lang na naiipon kasi zero-rated sale ka naman palagi. And therefore, for input VAT attributable to zero-rated sale, pwede mo siyang i-claim as tax refund. Pwede mo siyang i-claim as tax refund for input VAT attributable to zero-rated sale. Since hindi mo nga siya marirecover normally through carryover, especially if you are a purely export enterprise, di ba? So, balikan natin, new rules on VAT refund. Before, alam mo yon, hanggang ngayon pa rin, di ba? The period to claim VAT refund is 2 years. 2 years kailan? Kailan natin sisimulan ang bilang? From the date of the sale? No. From the date of the purchase? Napasahan tayo input VAT? No ulit. That's 2 years from, kailan ba to? 2 years from, of course, from the close. Ayan, nakuha ko na yung term. From the close of the taxable quarter when the zero-rated sale was made. So, yun yung terminology ng ating Section 112. So, medyo very specific yung term na yun, no? That's 2 years from the close of the taxable quarter when the zero-rated sale was made. Alamin mo kailan binenta, alamin mo kailan yung close ng quarter na yun, count 2 years. Then, that's the period for you to file your claim for refund. Finally, nakapag-file ka na ng claim for refund, wala pang change yung train law, dito na papasok. The period for the BIR to decide. Ayan na. The period for the BIR to decide your claim for refund, that's 120 days. Pero ngayon, this was shortened by train law. Hindi na siya 120 days. Now, it has been shortened to 90 days. 90 days na lang yung period for the Bureau of Internal Revenue to decide on one's claim for refund. 120 to 90. So, tandaan natin yan. And of course, isa pang major change ng train law. Dati, upon the lapse of 120 days, that is an implied denial. Within 30 days, ito yung 120 plus 30, within 30 days from the expiration or the lapse of the 120-day period for the Bureau of Internal Revenue to decide, of course, anong gagawin natin? Elevate na agad natin agad yung ating claim to the CTA Division, to the Court of Tax Appeals Division muna. Dahil it's an implied denial already. However, for purposes of dito naman sa ating train law, sabi wala nang implied denial. Ang kailangan is there must be an express denial. Kailangan ng express denial para masabi na there is indeed a denial. Kailangan the Bureau of Internal Revenue must explain with facts and legal basis kung bakit nagkaroon ng denial of a taxpayer's claim for VAT refund. Kung wala ang denial na yon, ano ang mangyayari? The BIR officer would be subject to administrative sanctions. So, wala nang implied denial, kailangan na niyang mag-decide. This has been further clarified by subsequent regulations and RMCs ng Bureau of Internal Revenue. So, ano mangyayari kay taxpayer kapag lumagpas ng 90 days? Wala pa rin. Di pa ba siya a-action? Ang sagot ng Bureau of Internal Revenue, pwedeng hindi umaksyon because the claim is just deemed to continue. So, parang tuloy-tuloy lang daw. Pero actually, this is a gray area dahil what if nag-appeal na agad upon the lapse of 90-day period, wala pang jurisprudence regarding this. Since alam mo yon, medyo bago-bago pa itong batas na ito. So, that is the new rule for VAT refund, no implied denial. And of course, shortened period to decide from 120 to 90 days. And isa pa, yung penalty for BIR officers na hindi magde-decide. Next, change na kailangan natin pag-usapan is of course percentage tax. Although medyo hindi naman siya ganun ka-crucial, ano ang mga change sa percentage tax, medyo hindi ito part ng bar syllabus. However, this is very much related to your capital gains tax transaction na sale of shares of a domestic corporation. Binanggit natin kanina, one item of capital gains. One item of capital gains na subject to capital gains tax would be capital gains from sale of shares of a domestic corporation sold directly to the buyer and not through the local stock exchange. Subject to a capital gains tax, again, kung maalala natin yung rate, that's 15%. 15%. So, what if you have sold it through the local stock exchange? Ang mangyayari is, it will be subject to stock transaction tax at a rate of 1/2 of 1%. So, that's 0.005, kalahating 1%, ganon. Kalahating 1% ang ating rate for stock transaction tax. This was changed by train law to 0.6 of 1%. So, from 0.005, it's now 0.006. And it's based not on the gain, but on the gross selling price of the shares. It's not based on, not based on the gain, but on the gross selling price. And take note, one important feature of stock transaction tax, kaya medyo nahahagip din to kapag usapang income tax, is that stock transaction tax is in lieu of income tax. Therefore, wala na babayarang income tax regardless of the existence of a gain doon sa transaction na yon. How about loss? Kung loss ba, magbabayad ng stock transaction tax? Ang sagot, yes, magbabayad pa rin ng stock transaction tax si taxpayer kahit loss na siya. So ito lang pinagbago sa percentage tax, all the rest are the same. So, and of course, all the rest are not part of your bar exam syllabus. So, ito lang ang ating pag-uusapan. Uy, ito pa pala. Ay, yun na pag-usapan for percentage tax. Meron pa. Alam mo yun, ito yung tax natin kapag pumanaw tayo sa law school kasi nakaka-stress, ganun. Pero sana, figurative na pagpanaw. Of course, alam mo yun, sobrang stressful ng times natin ngayon, no, na parang, alam mo yun, we are, lalo na sa inyo, no, that you are reviewing under a pandemic na sobrang pressured sa mga bagay-bagay, aside from, thinking of the future that is so uncertain, like we don't even know kung kailan maho-hold yung bar sana for this year na i-delay for next year, wala pang definite month. So alam mo yun, parang hindi ka makapag-pattern ng iyong calendar na, anong aaralin ko for today, ganyan, ano yung goals ko for this month, kasi parang di mo alam kung matutuloy ba talaga yung bar examination, especially that the curve is flattening sa taas nga lang, no? Unfortunate. So the curve is flattening sa taas, pero di nga flattening, parang steep paangat nga ng paangat. So, alam mo yun, it's really uncertain time. So, one thing that I would like you to consider is, of course, you have to take care of your mental health as well. Na do not pressure yourself too much na kailangan yung mag-aral masyado. Well, sanay kayo sa pressure. You are law students na alam niyo na everyday is a hustle. Kailangan lagi tayo nag-aaral. Kailangan lagi tayo naghahabol ng mga case readings dahil maraming tinatawag si sir or si ma'am araw-araw. So, sanay kayo sa pressure, but in times of pandemic na sobrang uncertain, na may additional stress factors tayo, of course, marami rin sa atin na baka gipit sa finances because of so many things that are happening now. So, one thing that I would really say is, of course, to take care of your mental health. Don't pressure yourself too much. Dahil, alam mo yun, it makes no sense na aral ka ng aral for the bar, sacrificing your mental health na, alam mo yun, it's better to have sanity than to force yourself through a process na sobrang mahirap. So, take it at your own pace. Guys, yun talaga ang sobrang may advice ko kasi sobrang nakakaplaning talaga yung mga panahon ngayon, and that's really, really, really understandable. So, let's go to estate tax. Another major tax na nasa ating bar exam syllabus. Okay, new rates for estate tax. New rates for estate tax, ano bang meron dito? Before train law, this is, of course, tax table to, no? Graduated din to, progressive estate tax rates dati. Hagdan-hagdan yan, na depende sa amount ng ating net taxable estate, magdidepende yung rate. Of course, again, when we speak of progressive, this is a kind of tax na, as the tax base goes higher, the tax rate becomes higher as well. Gaya ng income tax natin for individuals. So, yun ang ating progressive tax. So, before, estate tax sa progressive tax. Ngayon, simpler, 6% na lang ang ating estate tax. 6% na lang. Ito mga sobrang panggulo nito, no? Itong tatlong to. Funeral, judicial, and medical expenses. Funeral, dami-dami nitong sinasabi, no? 5% of the gross estate, actual funeral expense. 200,000 pesos, whichever is the lowest among the three. Ito yung mga allowable funeral expense. Judicial, gastos mo within the deadline of the filing of the estate tax return. And of course, yung ating medical expenses na hindi dapat alagpas ng 500,000 pesos and incurred within a year. Ngayon, this funeral, judicial, memorize ko pa, no? Nakakairita. Parang sana alisin ko na siya sa utak ko in order to free space. So, ito funeral, judicial, and medical expenses, wala na siya. Under train law. Wala na yan. Under train law. So, alisin nyo na yan. Di na kailangan. Ano to funeral, judicial, and medical expenses? Prior to train law, these are deductions from gross estate. If we remember, we have two kinds of deductions from gross estate. Meron tayong ordinary deductions at meron tayong special deductions. Ordinary deductions, by way of recall, meron tayong elite plus TPU plus VD. What's elite? Expenses, losses, indebtedness, taxes. TPU, transfers for public use. And VD, the dreaded vanishing deduction. Na di natin masyadong i-discuss ngayon kasi, alam mo yun, bakit di natin i-discuss? Kasi di naman part ng changes sa train law. So, if gusto nyo ma-discuss natin in full length, no, enroll kayo sa VLC. Wow, shameless plug, di ba? So, funeral, judicial, and medical. Ayun, balik tayo. Saan ba ulit tayo? Yeah, kinds of deductions pala for estate tax purposes, no? And of course, special deductions natin, we have benefits received pursuant to RA 4917, our retirement law, medical expenses na wala na, family home, mamaya, chika natin yon. Tapos, standard deduction, of course. Ito, standard deduction. Speaking of which, so nagparamdam ang ating pinag-uusapan, dumating. So, increase in threshold for standard deduction. Chika dito, dati 1 million pesos, no? 1 million pesos ang ating standard deduction. Ngayon, it has been raised to 5 million pesos. Uy, taray. So, if you have a net taxable estate na 5 million pesos, sana all, no? May ganong net taxable estate. So, you are entitled to standard deduction, 5 million pesos. And bago, before non-resident alien kasi wala eh. Non-resident alien is not entitled to standard deduction. Now, it is now entitled at a reduced amount of 500,000. So it's either 5 million or 500,000 pesos. Standard deduction. 22 by Taylor Swift. Chores. 22. Increase in threshold for family home deduction. Family home deduction concept, of course, kapag merong bahay na iniwan ng ating dissident, part of the exclusive or conjugal/community property, merong mga dependents na nakatira pa dito doon sa family home as certified by the barangay captain that this is indeed the family home. Of course, principal residence dapat ng ating dissident, di ba? Hindi pwedeng multiple family homes, isa lang ang family home, entitled to a deduction not exceeding 1 million pesos. So, fair market value, dissident's interest, or 1 million pesos, whichever is the highest among the three amounts. Ito ang sabi ng ating estate tax provisions. However, increase na sa family home threshold. Ang threshold na natin ay 10 milyong piso. Taray, sana may family home na 10 milyong piso lahat. Oh my God, sorry, napindot ko na mabilis. So, 10 million pesos from 1 million pesos ang ating threshold for family home deduction. Notice of death removed. Before traindom, kapag may yumao, chika mo sa BAR, hi BAR, chika ko lang may namatay within 2 months. Notice of death. You need to inform BAR that a taxpayer has died. 2 months from the date of death. Now, that requirement has been removed, di mo na kailangan i-chika. File ka na lang diretso ng estate tax return. So, alam mo yun, pursuant to the principle of admin feasibility para mapadali ang mga bagay-bagay sa Bureau of Internal Revenue. Parang ang dami kong nakiklik ng biglang nagpaparamdam. Anyways, feeling ko may ibang pumipindot ng slides ko. Chores. Next. 24. Dito pala tayo stop. Yes. 24. So again, notice of death was removed. 24, new provisions regarding bank deposits of the dissident. Yung medyo medyo magulo. Medyo di ako agree sa ilang issuances ng BAR, pero chikahin natin itong new provisions regarding bank deposits of the dissident. Ako may anak? Well, kunwari lang naman, no? Kunwari ako ay may anak, tapos meron akong deposit sa bangko na 1 million pesos. Namatay ako unexpectedly. Yung anak ko, syempre, walang pera, di ba? Umaasa lang sa akin yung anak ko, nabibigay-bigay ako. May deposit ako sa bangko 1 million pesos. The bank, for instance, has been informed that I died. Ano ang mangyayari? Before train law, what will happen is, yung anak ko, hindi niya pwede ma-withdraw yung 1 million pesos. Hindi pwedeng ma-withdraw ng anak ko yung 1 million pesos. Not unless there is a clearance from the Bureau of Internal Revenue that the estate tax has been paid. Kasi alam mo yon, sisiguraduhin ng Bureau of Internal Revenue na bayad na ang estate tax bago magalaw yung pera sa bangko. Or else, baka limasin nung mga kamag-anak yung deposit doon sa bangko, tapos hindi na makakolekta ang Bureau of Internal Revenue. Siyempre, kailangan sigurista. You know, sabi nga, no, taxes are the lifeblood of the government. So, kailangan ma-ensure ang collectability. The collection of taxes is a prompt and imperious need. Uy, kapag nilagay niyo yun sa tax booklet ninyo sa bar, prompt and imperious need, ay parang feeling ko, winner, top-notcher na kayo for tax. Wala naman top-notcher for tax, no? Pero at least, may tatawid, prompt and imperious need. Medyo favorite line ko yon. Lifeblood doctrine ang solusyon sa lahat ng mga tanong. Hindi man, joke lang, hindi lahat ha. Pero hindi mawawala yung lifeblood doctrine. Bar tip. Bar exam tip na quotable quotes talaga. Quotable quotes ang ilagay ninyo sa mga bar exam answers ninyo. Yung mga tipo parang sobrang, kapag nabasa rito, ang ganda. Yung parang speech ni Justice Leonen sa oath-taking nung nakaraan, di ba? Ganun kaganda dapat yung ilagay ninyo sa inyong bar exam booklet. Wag lang masyadong mahaba kasi baka maubos yung oras ninyo. Anyways, going bago tayo tuluyang malayo sa ating pinag-uusapan, we have new provisions regarding bank deposits. Again, kung namatay ako with 1 million pesos on my bank account, may anak, my dependent cannot withdraw unless the estate tax has been paid. However, no, the deadline for the payment of estate tax prior to train law is 6 months from the date of death. So kung hintayin yung 6 months, baka namatay na rin sa gutom yung anak ko kasi wala nga siyang pera, di makapag-withdraw. So inaalaw ng Bureau of Internal Revenue up to 20,000 pesos na withdrawal. Pero syempre, yung 20,000 pesos, utang na loob, sapat na ba yun para sa 6 na buwan na paghihintay? Baka nga tuition pa lang nung anak, di ba? Baka di na makatagal yung 20,000 pesos. Renta, di na katagal yung 20,000 pesos. Sa dami ng gastusin ngayon. So medyo limiting yung 20,000 pesos and to wait for clearance for the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Thankfully, that has been changed by train law. Ngayon, we can now withdraw the entire 1 million pesos. Entire 1 million pesos na yung pwede natin withdrawin. However, subject saan? Subject to a final estate withholding tax of 6%. So, bago ka mag-withdraw, kakaltasan ng bangko ng 6%. So, kung mag-withdraw ka ng 100,000, o yung anak ko rather, alam mo, ako patay na ako, no? Sa example natin. So, kung mag-withdraw ako ng 100,000, what will happen? This will be subject to a final tax of 6%. Therefore, bawa 6%, 6,000, 94,000 lang yung mawi-withdraw ng aking anak. Dahil yung 6%, idediretso ng bangko to the Bureau of Internal Revenue as the withholding agent of the BIR. So, makikita natin na pwede lang i-withdraw lahat, bawas nga lang ng 6%. Mas maluwag ang rules. Well, this is due to the fact na flat rate na kasi ang ating estate tax rate, 6% na lang. So, medyo mas madali na mag-impose ng final withholding tax. Ang gray area lang dito is whether or not included pa sa gross estate yung na-withdraw na amount, yung na-withdraw na amount, yung portion, kung isasama ba sa gross estate or hindi. The answer of the Bureau of Internal Revenue in subsequent issuances is depende sa'yo. So kung nilagay mo as part of gross estate, you can deduct what has been withheld from estate tax due as an estate tax credit. If hindi mo sinama as part of gross estate, then walang deduction na estate tax credit. So medyo magulo lang yung part na yun, no? Pero again, pwede na, subject to 6% final withholding tax. Honors tax. Alam mo yun, parang wala talagang takas sa tax. Sinasabi talaga ng ating mga taxation experts na there are only two things that are constant in life: death and taxes. Paulit-ulit yan sinasabi. Mamatay ka na nga lang, of course, may tax pa, di ba? Tapos, minsan iisipin mo na, ay, hindi ko na hintay mamatay ako. Bigay ko na lang habang buhay ako, di ba? Para wala lang akong properties upon my death. But of course, wala ka pa rin kawala. Kahit binigay mo, even though you transferred it inter vivos, meron ka pa rin babayarang donor's tax. Of course, estate tax and donor's tax, these are your transfer taxes. When we speak of transfer taxes, this only applies to gratuitous transfers, yung mga transfers without any consideration. Of course, two kinds naman yan. We have transfers inter vivos during the life of the transferor and transfer mortis causa caused by the death of the transferor. Kapag mortis causa, normally we term it as succession and that's subject to estate tax. Kapag naman inter vivos, we call it donation and that's subject to donor's tax. So parang lahat ng galaw mo, subject natin sa tax, sabi nung Bureau of Internal Revenue. Anyways, tuloy pa natin, new donor's tax rate, progressive din yan dati, now 6% din. Ngayon, ito ay 6% na lamang din. So, short na lamang. Number 26, removal of distinction between relatives and strangers. Nakakalito to dati, no? Yung relatives and strangers. Yung relatives kasi, progressive tax rate, stranger flat rate of 30%. Para malaman mo kung relative, gagawa ka pa ng family tree na dapat within the fourth civil degree of consanguinity para masabi na relative for donor's tax purposes. So medyo kung uncle, hanapin pa kung 4th degree ba yun or whatever. Ngayon wala na, lahat sila 6% na lang. So for transfer tax, no, dumali talaga yung buhay ng computation for transfer tax. Ang naging komplikado talaga, income tax. 27, ito pa, di ba? Daming tinanggal. Kanina sa estate tax, tinanggal Funeral, judicial, medical expenses, tinanggal. Ngayon, dowry deduction naman for donors tax, tinanggal. Kapag kinasal, 10,000 pesos ang pwedeng donations in consideration of marriage, di ba? Yung mga taga-dowry. May Tagalog term to. Nakalimutan ko yung Tagalog term. Dote? Something like that. Of course, if you know kung ano yung Tagalog term doon, of course, write in the comment section below. Pero nakalimutan ko na yung Tagalog term doon. Again, sa mga dowries, ayan, dati may 10,000 deduction. Huwag nyo na alalahanin yun. Wala na yun ngayon. 28. Uy, eto maganda to. Maganda to, no? Parang ako rin nagandahan. Clarification for transfers for less than full and adequate consideration. Meaning, alam mo yun, parang, ito yung mga complex transfers na tinatawag. For instance, anong chika dito? 1 million yung FMV, fair market value ng property, binenta mo lang 300,000. So, parang iisipin ng Bureau of Internal Revenue, bakit ang baba? 300,000? Daya, di kami makolekta ng tax. Walang income tax, binenta mo baba. Lugi kami, sabi ng Bureau of Internal Revenue. Sabi ng BIR, kung lugi ka sa pagkabenta mo, ayaw namin malugi, ayaw namin madamay sa'yo, huwag mo kaming idamay sa iyong pagkalugi, mangongolekta pa rin kami ng tax in the form of donor's tax. Kung binenta mo ng palugi, 1 million dapat, 300 mo lang binenta, 700,000, parang pinamigay mo na lang. Parang pinamigay, and therefore there is a deemed donation in the insufficiency, in the inadequacy of the consideration. So yung 700,000 na difference between the fair market value and consideration may be subject to donor's tax. However, there are sale transactions naman na hindi mo naman talaga intended as donation. Like, parang alam mo yun, bebenta mo lang talaga ng palugi because you intend to dispose talaga of the property. So, kasama ba yun sa transfers for less than full and adequate consideration na subject to donor's tax? Section 100 was amended at inad itong exception na ito. So, hindi mo na subject sa donor's tax kapag it will not become subject to donor's tax if ganito ang mangyari. If it is an arm's length, bona fide business transaction and free from donative intent. So if it's a bona fide, arm's length transaction, free from donative intent, so BAF yun, that is not subject to donor's tax. Ito ay hindi subject to donor's tax. So for instance, anong pwedeng example? Pwedeng example dito would be sale sa mga malls. Kapag may sale sa mga malls, 50% discount, 70% discount, or markdown. Ang mangyayari doon ay, of course, fair market value is higher compared to the price that it is being sold. However, is there donative intent? Baka mag-donative intent yung mga mall, di ba? Pinamimigay namin. Siyempre, hindi. That's in order to entice sale, to remove obsolete inventory, para to give way to new inventory, and of course, to invite people to come to the malls, and of course, spend more sa mga establishments around para kumain dahil kikita din sila doon. And therefore, there is a business purpose. It is pasok sa exception natin na bona fide, arm's length transaction, free from donative intent, walang intention to donate, and therefore, that is exempted from donors' tax under the new amendments sa section 100. Next, of course, this one guys, excise tax, ito ay hindi na part ng inyong bar exam syllabus, but of course, bahalang tanungin, no, what are the items that were changed for purposes of train law. Kasi dito maraming changes, excise tax, no? Marami rin changes dito. So, major change to ng train law. Una, fuel, of course. This is the driver of inflation, kaya sumama ang pangalan ng train law. That's why Train 2 never happened. I mean, it will happen, but under a different name because train now carries such a negative connotation, di ba? Na parang rumaragasang sinagasaan tayo lahat with increase in prices. So, it's now called Sitira. Now, even recently called Create, na magbabago ng corporate income tax. So, alam mo yun, itawid nyo na tong susunod na bar examination or else may parating na Sitira or Create, which will change naman corporate income taxation. Medyo malaki-laki yung effect sa corporate income tax nung create. Change in excise tax rates of cars. So, nagbago, not just cars, vehicles, automobiles. So, bago ang anti-excise tax rates. Then, may bago exception din tayo, hybrid and electric vehicles. Purely electric vehicles, 100% exempted from excise tax. Hybrid vehicles, kalahati lang ang exemption. So, whatever is the excise tax due, multiplied by 50%, yun lang ang babayaran natin kapag hybrid vehicles. When we speak of hybrid vehicles, pwedeng fuel-powered, pwedeng electric-powered. Next, bagong excise tax. Ito bagong-bago under train law. Wala, never ever before imposed. Excise tax on invasive cosmetic procedure. And it was defined as any procedure which alters, enhances, or improves the physical appearance of a person. So, invasive, para masabing invasive daw, sabi ng ating revenue regulation, it must enter the body through a cut, through any cavity, basta kapag merong hiwang na ganap, kapag merong pagpapasok ng tubong na ganap, then yan ay may ituturing na invasive. Kapag sa labas lang naman, on the surface of the skin, then hindi siya maituturing na invasive. Cosmetic, ayan, kailangan may alteration, enhancement, or improvement. So, paano kung pumangit? Subject pa rin ba to excise tax? Ang sagot ay yes. Because the term used by the tax code includes the word alter. So of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder naman, basta invasive cosmetic procedure. And take note, this only applies to non-essential cosmetic procedure because if it's intended to ameliorate a defect, yung tipong i-cure yung defect ng isang tao, o kaya to promote proper bodily function, halimbawa may tumor ka sa ilong, di ka na makahinga, inalis, syempre gumanda yung itsura mo nung natanggal yung tumor. But if it's intended to promote proper breathing, di ba? So that is an essential cosmetic procedure. Then ito ay, alam mo yun, magiging exempt from excise tax. New excise tax, of course, we have excise tax for sweetened beverages. Bago rin, under train law. So, energy drink, kaya nagmahal, subject na to excise tax. Soft drinks, subject to excise tax. Ano pa to? Sweetened fruit juices. Sweetened fruit juices, subject to excise tax. Sweetened fruit juice, ayan, subject to excise tax. So, kung yung alcohol, subject to excise tax. Pati chaser, subject na rin to excise tax, no? Then, we have, of course, flavored sparkling water. Yan, subject rin to excise tax. Exempted from excise tax, from the excise tax on sweetened beverage. Milk, kahit sweetened milk pa yan, yan ay exempted from excise tax. Natural fruit juices. Natural fruit juices. Of course, ito ay subject din to excise taxes. All natural dapat ha. Natural dapat. Natural vegetable juice. So, okra shake, ganon. Ampalaya slushy. So, sarap. Chores. Ito ay exempt from excise tax. Basta natural. Medically indicated beverage or meal supplements. Yan ay exempted pa rin from excise tax on sweetened beverages. And of course, buti na lang, kundi magwewelga lahat ng accountants, tsaka lahat ng lawyers, tsaka lahat ng mga professional, di ba? Especially, Diyos ko, lawyers, mahirap kalabanin ang lawyers pagdating dito. Utang na loob, kapag tinaksan ng Kongreso ang kape, buong magwewelga, of course, coffee, powdered form or in liquid form, yan ay mananatiling exempted from excise tax. Mabuti naman, di ba? And guys, of course, that's it. Ito ang overview natin ng mga provisions na binago ng tax reform for acceleration and inclusion or ng ating train law. Of course, for further detailed discussion for each of the taxes, of course, that will be reserved for your enrollment sa Villasis Law Center. And of course, overview pa lang ito ng mga tatalakayin natin. And take note, This is highly incomplete kasi provisions lang ng train law ang ating diniscuss. Of course, there are so many provisions that were not amended by train law. We did not touch upon corporate income tax. We did not touch upon, of course, yung mga MCIT. We did not touch upon allowable deductions, inclusions, and exclusions from gross income na pagkarami-rami. Napakarami exemptions from VAT na hindi natin pinag-usapan because these were not changed by train law. So of course, this will be discussed in our review proper. And of course, kapag nag-discuss na tayo ng review proper, of course, gagawin natin blended learning instruction delivery. Of course, we will set up a whiteboard na and of course, PowerPoint presentation na pwede namin ibigay sa inyo ang kopya with of course handouts. So ito ang ating overview for tax reform for acceleration and inclusion na part na ng ating bar examination starting 2019 bar examinations. So thank you for listening. Again, if you have further questions na gusto nyo i-clarify from our presentation, you can comment below and of course, sasagutin natin ang inyong mga comments. Well, depende siguro sa dami. Baka mamaya kung umabot ng 1,000 yung comments, baka maubos yung oras natin. Pero tingin ko naman konti lang naman ang questions. Hopefully. So, you can comment down your questions below and of course, we'll address your concerns. We'll address your questions pertaining to tax. Kung may questions kayo regarding enrollment, ito po ay hindi ko na masasagot. Of course, VLC staff you can direct your queries doon sa mismong VLC page na mismo. And that's it. Thank you for being with me for almost half an hour yata. Yeah, for almost half an hour. And thank you for listening. Ingat palagi and always stay safe.
you.